Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shannah Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano. Welcome back to Inside Plano. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Shannah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this edition of our podcast, number 46. We're getting up there.
Yes, it would have been 47, but we missed the month of October. So if you were waiting anxiously on a download, it never came. Sorry about that. We had just a big case of 2021 happening. So we're back in the saddle and ready to go.
You know, Shannah, it's funny, but every year there's all these lists that come out, and there's several different companies that put them out: Wallet Hub, Go Banking Rates, Movado, and frequently the city of Plano is listed on those lists, and they're all best of lists. So it's bragging rights, but we like to tell people about those lists because we're being recognized on something that really goes nationwide. And the news media loves those lists. They love to pick them up and talk about them. So let's talk about some of those accolades. The first one was done by Go Banking Rates, and we were named the fourth best city in Texas and the 23rd best city in America for young professionals. And then there was another one, livability.com is another group that does a lot of these accolade lists. And this one we were really proud of. They named us the best city to live in Texas, and the 17th best city to live in America. And you can go online, you can go to livability.com, but the metrics are always really interesting, what they use. But we make a lot of these lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a few more here. The EPA named us the 2021 Sustained Excellence Award winner, which actually means that you've won you've won the Excellence Award from the EPA multiple years. So Plano consistently recognized by the EPA for our sustainability education and efforts. Wallet Hub named us the safest city in Texas. Also another one that we're very, very proud of. 16th safest city in America. And there's one I forgot to mention, Steve. We've just had so many in this last month. We rank number 1 in Texas and number 21 nationwide as the best city for people with disabilities.
Mhm.
And number 1 in Texas, number 5 nationwide for the highest employment rate for people with disabilities. Both of those are by Wallet Hub. You mentioned something, Steve, that I think is important. Maybe you can go into a little bit more. Is a lot of times when we share out these accolades, people say, well, who did you poll to get that information? I think it's important to note that these actually aren't polls. How do these accolades kind of come about?
It's funny, you know, they look at a different set of metrics for each one. And like the one where we're named the safest city,
Mhm.
you know, there's probably 15 to 20 different metrics they look at, including the uniform crime statistics nationwide. So they look at things like homicides, aggravated assaults, and, you know, year after year, we have a very low crime rate per capita in Plano for a population of 286,000 people. So, yeah, it's really interesting, you know, the accolades they look at, and then they rank people for the metrics, not accolades. They rank the cities on the each individual metrics as well. So the overall score is how you rank high. And a lot of these lists, we're the number 1 city in Texas, because when we look at the list and we see who's above us, one of the things we always look at is where are the other cities in Texas ranking? And it's just amazing. And it's a regular thing. This happens every year. We must get on, you know, 20 different accolade lists like this. And we're proud of that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the data gives the information. I think it's all many reasons why we call ourselves the city of excellence, because it's just consistent and it's across the board. Well, let's talk about another metric that we're tracking here in the city.
Yeah, I don't even think I knew what the word metric meant before I started working for the city of Plano. Now I get it. There's a competition going on in November that's really fun, really exciting, and it promotes fitness and good health. It's the Fall into Fitness competition. And what people are vying is they want to become the fittest neighborhood in Plano 2021. And there's also individual competitions as well. And people can actually win a year's membership to our recreation centers, which is a really
Oh,
nice prize. So
yeah.
you can join up with your neighbors and you compete in this second annual Fittest Neighborhood competition. And I know, Shauna, you want to go over some of the rules and
Yeah, you have to be a registered neighborhood, and that's super easy. You do that through Plano Neighborhood Services if you aren't already, and then you can register through the 7th of November. So there's still plenty of time to sign up, and then you just get a team together with your neighbors, and you can do all kinds of different activities. Whatever your favorite flavor of fitness is, from running. Like our special guest today, to riding a bike, to going out walking, whatever, all during the month of November. And maybe even get together with some of your neighbors and go for a walk. It's a great way to get to know the people that you live near. And then you just track those activities and you earn points.
right. And you track those activities over a 30-day period, the month of November. And the more intense activity, the more points you'll earn. Neighborhood and individuals with the most points win. There's fitness swag, recreation center memberships, as we mentioned, for the individual winners. And to find out more about this, you can go to planoneighborhoods.org, and there'll be more details about the Fall into Fitness competition.
Absolutely. And, speaking of neighborhoods, there are a ton of programs and services that are available for current homeowners as well as people who would like to be homeowners, or neighborhood groups. And, when I say neighborhood groups, I mean neighborhood associations, HOAs, crime watch groups, and so on. Our neighborhood services department has a lot of things on the calendar this month, and that includes property maintenance workshops, first time homebuyer education classes. They're co hosting the 2021 Neighborhood Summit. And of course, the application period is open for neighborhood vitality and beautification grants. And I've got links to all of that in the show notes, as I always do.
Sean, a lot of people ask, what is the Neighborhood Services Department? What do they do? Well, it's a department within the city that develops strategies and tools for strengthening Plano's neighborhoods and addressing issues that relate to the maturing of their community. They're organized into three different divisions. They have best neighborhoods, housing and community services, and property standards. Their department works cooperatively to connect community needs with community resources in order to foster the most desirable neighborhoods in the nation. Now, this is just one of many ways that we work to really continue our reputation as a city of excellence.
I feel like maybe I should title this episode Inside the City of Excellence because we have a lot to kind of be bragging on this month. Um, by the way, and this isn't a bragging thing, but it is something I'm very excited about. The Plano Flags of Honor is back this year, at its original location, Oak Point Park, and it's the fifth year, for this event. And I went for the first time, I think, 2 years ago. I made some time to go. It is so amazing, and I hope that everyone in Plano makes time to go see it. It runs from November 6th through November 13th, so plenty of days to get out there. It's never super crowded. It's easy to get in and out. It's in what we call the balloon launch field at Oak Point, and that's actually close to Red Tail Amphitheater. So it's a beautiful, beautiful event.
I remember last year it was at a field on Preston and Spring Creek Parkway, which is now the location of the first HEB grocery store in North Texas,
Yep,
which we're proud to have in Plano. But a
absolutely.
little more about the flag, the field. There's more than 1,000 flags. They're 3 by 5 feet each, and really it expresses our region's gratitude to our veterans and first responders. Each flag tells the story of heroes whose lives were devoted in service to others, many of whom made the ultimate sacrifice. You'll hear the haunting sound of taps at dusk each day, and you'll experience the reverence of walking the field at night when the flags seem to reach out and tell their own stories. It's really a powerful, moving experience.
Absolutely. And if you know someone that you'd like to honor at the event, each of those 1,000 flags has a dedication card on it and it tells a story of a hero, as Steve mentioned. You can share the story and a photo of the hero from your life. This event, by the way, is funded in part by the city of Plano. We've got all the details in our show notes. And I would tell you, it was really easy to see when it was on Preston Road there at Spring Creek, but It's very powerful out at Oak Point Park because you can get out and you can walk among the flags. So if you have never been out there and you are in the Plano area or listening to this podcast, just take Spring Creek, go east, go under 75, keep going, and then you'll glance to your left and you will see them and you'll want to stop.
Also, this month, Texas Recycles Day. It's an annual city event that allows residents to drive through, drop off, and donate household items to our community and local nonprofit organizations. Every year in November, there's hundreds of residents that attend this event, and the donations collected benefit thousands of people as items are reused or recycled, keeping them out of the landfill.
Yep, you just have to drive through and drop off items. That'll be Saturday, November 13th, 8:30 to noon. So it's a morning event and it's at the Chase Oaks Church parking lot, and that's located on Legacy. We've got all the directions in the show notes. Here's some things that are accepted: sports equipment, gently used clothing and shoes, winter coats, bicycles, all conditions, all sizes, unbroken eyeglasses, hearing aids, yarn and knitting supplies, pet supplies, vases, books, gently used bedding, pillows, linens, towels, luggage, bags, arts and crafts supplies, office supplies, household items. I'm talking like kitchen goods, dishes, medical supplies, as long as it doesn't have an electronic component. Electronics, we do accept a lot of electronics, including computer related equipment, printers, etc. Some of those have a disposal fee, and you can find that information in the show notes. And we'll take as well 2 standard size filing boxes of documents, and do secured paper shredding, but that's limited to two, 2 paper boxes. Now, I just got to say, and I know you've been going through this too, Steve. This has just been a time of life where I've done a lot of cleaning out of my own house because we've been home a lot more over the last year and a half. And at the age that I am, I've been doing a lot of cleaning out of various older family members' houses as they've had to move into different housing and downsizing and all of that. There's a lot of stuff to manage, and this is just a great way. Of course, you can take and donate things, but Texas Recycles Day is a simple one-stop shop and just drop it all off. A lot easier to manage. So consider doing that again. That's November 13th.
Another really cool event that's coming up this month is the Underground Movement Festival. It's volume 5. Now, do you know what that is, Shannah?
I think it used to have a different name, so it's a dance thing, right?
Yes. So it's an event that brings the culture of the hip hop movement from the underground. It's for all ages. It's a free family friendly event. It starts at 5 o'clock on Saturday, November 13th. And as always, it's at McCall Plaza in downtown Plano. Should be a lot of fun. And it's great to watch. Some of those dancers that come are just amazing.
Yeah, we have some really great pictures from the events too. And I'm like, how do they make their bodies do that? It's great. Speaking of great things, we had a really fantastic town hall last month that was focused on the draft 2021 comprehensive plan. And we are back for another town hall. This time it's in November, November 18th. That's a Thursday, the day of all town halls. And we're going to discuss everything infrastructure. This is always one of our most popular town hall topics: roads, sewers, sidewalks, park projects, and more, traffic lights, all of those things that are the infrastructure that make a city run. If you have questions, we'll have staff available to answer questions, details in the show notes.
Shannah, I know there's another event that you're going to be excited about.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Plano Christmas Market is back. So make time in your schedule for this holiday season shopping event. It's on Saturday and Sunday, November 20th and 21st. And this year it's at Carpenter Park Recreation Center. Once again, Christmas Market is back, people.
Exactly. And, we've all heard a lot in the news about the supply chain, and hurry up and get your holidays shopping. Lots and lots of holidays in December, from Hanukkah to Christmas. And, there might not be things in the stores, but this is a wonderful makers market. The vendors come from our area. These are handcrafted, wonderful gifting items. So I think you'll enjoy it. And, our Collin County seniors stock the Hip Hip for Gray booth, which is my favorite. Lots of crafts, including quilts, baby items, and ornaments. So that'll be a fun event. And we're excited that it's back because it was canceled last year.
All Our special guest today is our Director of Engineering, Caleb Thornhill. Caleb, welcome to Inside Plano.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the time.
We always like to start these interviews by asking our colleagues to tell us one thing about them that most of us don't know. And I'll tell you, Caleb, we got some very interesting responses. I didn't know that one guy we interviewed is a beekeeper, another one was a referee for soccer. What's the
Okay.
one thing about you that none of us know?
Well, I'm not a big fan of bees. So, I think for me, I'm an avid runner and I've completed 7 marathons. So,
Wow, you're right up
yeah,
there with Shannah and her husband, who are
yeah,
avid runners as well.
yeah. So,
Well, that's
Caleb's a
great.
lot
so-
faster though than I
oh
am.
no, my fast days are long gone. So it's just for exercise, but it keeps me busy.
Well, let's talk about some engineering things. So
Okay.
back in May, City Council approved $23 million to strengthen the walls of 3 arched culverts at Collin Creek. Let's start with the basics. What is a culvert and why are they on that property to begin with?
So originally that property, so the mall developed in the 80s, I think in 81. And originally Spring Creek, the tributary or the creek that went through there was open. And when the mall developed, they covered it or enclosed it and they put in a culvert. So a culvert's an enclosed system that carries stormwater or, a rain event that would go through there. And so they put in these large culverts so they could build the mall and develop it and add the parking lot through there. So they basically put the creek underground.
So we all know, because it's all over the news, that Collin Creek is being redeveloped. So why is the city repairing the culverts?
So the culverts or the creek is maintained by the city. And again, it was done in the 80s when they enclosed it. And so that structure, or those culverts, are over 40 years old now. And so, with the opportunity to redevelop Collin Creek in the construction activity and the age of the culverts, it just made sense for us to go ahead and strengthen them and get them to where they'll last another 50 or 75 years.
So when we're talking about culverts, I mean, I'm assuming we're not talking about like a storm pipe, that's big and round. We're talking about something else. So like, how big are these things anyway?
Yeah, so what you typically would see for a culvert would be a 24, 48-inch pipe. These culverts, there's 3 of them side by side, and they are about 15 feet tall and about 35 feet wide and about 2,300 feet long. So nearly a mile and a half total when you add all 3 of them together. So they are a very large system. And again, they carry all of Spring Creek through that system.
Now, I know that we did a video a few years back where we showed kind of cleaning out of silt and things that builds up over time. So the city has definitely maintained them. But I went back and watched that video this week, and they were talking about how there were, steel ribs put in trying to maintain. So can you talk about, like, these are old culverts, as you mentioned. How
Mhm.
have we maintained them to date to make sure that they stay structurally strong?
So we have used a firm from the Midwest, I believe it's Ohio, and they have come down and done inspections on a routine basis every other year, basically, since the culverts were implemented. And with the system that was put in, it's very unique. There's not very many throughout the United States. And so we've utilized this firm to do different types of repairs, whether it's adding reinforcement, clearing out debris, doing any sort of patchwork throughout there. Now, the system itself, these culverts are metal. So a corrugated metal pipe essentially is just a very large one where you normally see a metal pipe running underneath your driveway. We've got them in this large system. But we've done numerous repairs throughout the years. We have an inspection done again on that routine basis to make sure it's holding up. But it's really just the structure has reached its end of life.
Caleb, what have the challenges been with this project and how have you solved those challenges to strengthen the culverts adequately?
So I would say there's been 2 major challenges. One is it's an active creek. So there's the water. What do we do with the water while we've got to go in and maintain or to reinforce the structure? And what we've done is we've essentially closed off one of the culverts. So there's three of them. We close off one, we operate, do the work we need to in that section, and the water maintains in the other two. But what we've done is designed it in such a way that if we ever got a large event, it would overtop this diversion. And so then we would have full capacity. So keeping the water out while we can go in there and do the work we need to do. And then we just move from one culvert to the next. So the water care is one of the biggest challenges to do an active construction site, but also allow a creek to continue to flow through there. The other one is really the challenge is just the unknown. These structures are 40 years old. There is not very many of them in the United States. Anybody that's worked on the project is no longer here. So there is just a lot of unknowns that we've been having to work with. So we've come up with a design that we feel like is going to essentially take those unknowns out of it. And this design, once it's complete, the corrugated metal pipe or the culverts will essentially not be used anymore. It'll be the concrete structure that'll hold the weight of that.
And what's the projected lifespan once the project's completed?
Yeah, so our projected lifespan, we hope, is forever. I know that that's not the most feasible, but we're projecting at least 50 to 75 years for this. And so we hope to not be back there for a very long time.
I know I didn't, send you this question, but I was thinking about your comment on this being an active creek. Correct me if I'm wrong. All of our creeks are part of this stormwater drainage system. I mean, they when the rain comes, that water then flows on in down into tributaries and whatnot. Correct. So it's important to do this while it's not the rainy season, so to speak.
Yeah, it is. But that's why we've come up with this diversion because the schedule for this is nearly 16 months. So it won't, we'll hit a rainy season. And of course, Texas, you never know when it's going to be, if it's October, if it's May, if it's February or whatever. So we're going to hit rainy seasons, we'll hit dry seasons. But that's why it's critical that we have this diversion in place so we can actually get in there and do some work. But also, we're trying to be weather forecasters to determine if there's going to be a big event that we've make sure our guys are safe and get out of the way. So.
Well, we mentioned that, many millions of dollars going into this project. How exactly are we paying for this? And is it actually going to have any impact on us as taxpayers here in Plano?
So we've worked with the different departments, budget, most importantly, but city management. We've actually, the funds will come from the drainage fund. And so everybody, every property owner every month gets a water bill, and on there is a stormwater fee. And that fee is what will pay for this culvert. And we recently had an update to that fee and had to increase those rates. And the primary reason was for this culvert, because it was such a large project.
Was there anything else that we need to know about the culverts? Because I assume work is underway, but it's underground, so we don't see much about it.
Yeah, the only work you'll see above ground is there is a staging area for the contractor. But we started this project in July, and I mentioned earlier, we're planning for it to be about 16 months. So we're hoping to be done, again, pending weather, that it'll be done sometime in the spring of 2023. And again, with the construction going on over at Collin Creek, with all the work being underground, you may not see a whole lot of work, but there will be a lot of work occurring underneath there. Just for a fun fact, the amount of concrete we're putting in there, it's about 275 cubic feet of concrete. And if you took that concrete, you could build about 30 miles of sidewalk.
Wow.
And then just another fun fact, Spring Creek, when we have a big rain event, has about 15,000 cubic feet of water per second, meaning you could fill up an Olympic-sized pool every 5 to 6 seconds with that water. So it's a very big project. Why we have the big price tag on it, but we're moving forward on it and excited to get it complete.
Well, Caleb, thank you so much for the information on the project and the fun facts too, which are very
Awesome.
interesting. But what an exciting project out there. And I know what we're doing out there is just a small part of what's going to be really the development project in North Texas for the next few years. So thank you again for appearing on Inside Plano. That's Caleb Thornhill, our Director of Engineering. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Caleb.
All right.
It's always great seeing Caleb. We appreciate him being on. You can always give us feedback through our city satisfaction survey. Whether you have a good experience or an experience that needs some improvement, let us know. We look at the results every month. It's all part of our effort to remain the city of excellence. We've dropped the survey link into our show notes.
And I have some exciting news for everyone. If you enjoy the Inside Plano podcast, our Plano Public Library is now also offering a monthly podcast. So you want to give Plano Library Speaks a listen, and you can subscribe today. And just like Inside Plano, you can subscribe on all of your favorite platforms. Link in the show notes.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a happy November.
Yes. And if you don't mind, leave us a rating and a review because that helps other people find our show. Talk to you in December.
Take care. See you next month.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye!
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.